My name is Monica Mosher. I'm 31 years old, the oldest daughter, the one who fixes things. And somehow, that title is exactly why I was the one standing in my parents' kitchen, holding an eviction notice like it was a parking ticket. Dad slid the manila envelope across the table with this stiff, rehearsed expression and said, "You've got 48 hours to move your things out. This house belongs to your sister now." I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. I just said, "Okay." Lily finally looked up from her phone and gave me this small, satisfied smile. "It's nothing personal," she said. "It's just timing." Timing, right. Mom kept folding the same dish towel in half and whispering, "This will help you spread your wings," like she was quoting a motivational poster. The fridge hummed. A drip of lemon cleaner slid down a cabinet door. Dad repeated, 48 hours, like it was a line he practiced in the mirror. I placed the wrench I'd brought upstairs carefully onto the counter, like a loud noise might break the room, and walked back to the basement. It hadn't started with that envelope. That was just the moment the dam finally cracked. After college, I'd moved into the downstairs apartment of the duplex Grandpa left Dad. The place was old, damp, and slouching in corners. I told Dad I could stay, fix it up, and pay rent to help with the mortgage. He nodded like I'd just solved a math problem he didn't want to think about. Downstairs rent was $600. Market rent was $12,200. I told myself I was lucky. I learned everything from online videos, floating drywall, rewiring outlets, mapping the breaker panel, installing cabinets after the flood ruined the old ones. I kept a spreadsheet, cataloging every cost, every hour spent rebuilding a place I didn't own. I never asked for thanks. There rarely was any anyway. Meanwhile, Lily drifted from job to job. Bartender, vitamins sales rep, a startup that paid her in pizza and equity. She'd show up at the duplex with a suitcase and say she just needed a couple weeks. That always turned into 3 months. Mom would beam and say, "You're such a saint," as she handed Lily the spare keys. I loaned Lily $1,200 once for her car. She promised she'd pay it back. Next Friday, then after her tax return, then after her wedding. Eventually, I just stopped asking. Even Dad would call. "The tax bill came early. Can you float $300? Or, "Roof guy needs a deposit. Can you cover $500?" I'd send the money, keep a receipt, and swallow the irritation. My boyfriend, Ethan, would ask, "Do they ever stop needing things from you?" I'd laugh and say, "It's easier if I handle it." "Easier for who?" he'd ask. I always changed the subject. In March, Lily got engaged. Travis came with expensive shoes, a curated beard, and sentences like, "We're building a brand." He took speakerphone calls at dinner. Dad loved him. Mom called him visionary. I watched him order 2 appetizers and not touch either, and something in my jaw tightened. Ethan met him once and later texted me, "He talks like someone who's never paid rent in his life." I typed back, "It's complicated." It wasn't. In April, property insurance spiked by $1,300. Dad texted the family group chat. "Everyone has to pitch in to keep the house and the family." Everyone meant me. I drained my savings to send $1,000. Dad replied, "You're a good daughter." Lily wanted to use the upstairs for wedding content, my hallway as a backdrop, my living room as her studio. She suggested I move into the storage room for a few weeks. Mom said, "Be flexible, Monica." Dad added, "It's her time." "It's my home too," I said. No one listened. A week later, Lily stood on the basement steps while I patched drywall. "After the wedding, Travis and I will be out. He has a plan." "For what?" I asked. She smirked. "He's talking to investors." "For a wedding?" She laughed. "You just don't get it." She was right, I didn't. But the real breaking point wasn't Lily. It was a car ride with Mom. I was driving her to an appointment because Dad was meeting a notary. She stared out the passenger window and said, "We always knew you'd be fine, Jane." Something inside me twisted. "Meaning what?" She sighed. "Lily, she needs more." As if my reliability obligated me to sacrifice myself indefinitely. Then the papers came. Deed transfer to Lily. Eviction notice typed by a coworker of Mom's. 48 hours. Because weekends are hectic. They called it clean. It felt like being pushed down the stairs. That night, I sat in the apartment I rebuilt and opened my spreadsheet. $14,970 in materials, 412 hours of labor, 61 months of rent paid on time. I scrolled and scrolled. At first I felt nothing, then clarity. I had treated this house like a person, fed it, dressed it, kept it warm. And now I wasn't allowed inside. Ethan called. "You okay? You sounded weird earlier. They're evicting me, I said. Lily owns the house now. Silence. Then, Monica, what? It's fine, I lied. I'll figure it out. You always say that, he whispered. But you don't have to fix people who break you. My throat tightened. After we hung up, I printed every receipt, every email, my lease renewal with the LLC name everyone forgot about. I placed them in a folder. Closed it. My hands were steady. The family meeting was Saturday. They thought I'd show up and quietly accept whatever they decided. They didn't realize something in me had shifted. For the first time in my life, I was ready to say a word they weren't prepared to hear. No. Saturday came thick with humidity and the sour smell of lemon bars. Mom always baked them when she wanted everyone to behave. The living room, the one I had repainted twice, looked staged for a real estate walkthrough. Dad wore his serious polo. Lily had a pink-tabbed folder on her lap. Travis lounged on the couch like he was auditioning for an ad about passive income. I walked in wearing my work hoodie, drywall dust still embedded in the seams. I didn't bother brushing it off. Let them see what built this place. Lily clapped once, bright and performative. Okay, so let's make this smooth. We're keeping the tenant. She nodded at me like I was an appliance, month to month. Then once we monetize the upstairs as a studio, we'll move you to market rate. Mom added softly, it's best for everyone. Travis leaned back, legs spread wide, and said, we'll help you transition. I stared at the lemon bars. I thought, say the thing. Not the polite thing, not the clever thing, the true thing. No. The room froze. Lily blinked. No to what? No, I repeated. No to being your month-to-month safety net. No to funding your content dreams while you raise my rent. No to packing up my life in 48 hours like I'm a guest who overstayed. Dad leaned forward. We've made the decision. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, I said. I'm being specific. I opened my folder and placed it on the coffee table. Printed emails, receipts, screenshots, the lease. You forgot something, I said. I have a valid lease through December. Travis snorted. You can't lease from family without... It's not from family, I cut in. It's from Turner Family Properties, LLC. The LLC Dad set up to save on taxes. Remember, Dad? Your church friend helped file it. You signed as manager. I signed as tenant. It auto-renewed. I tapped the page. 60 days notice required, and no-cause evictions aren't legal in this state anymore. Dad's eyes flickered. Mom pressed her hand to her chest. Lily's smile fell apart at the edges. Travis fumbled for his phone. I don't want to fight, I said, calm, steady. But you don't get to take my home, my work, and call it legacy. I slid another stack of receipts toward them. Materials I paid for, $14,870. Insurance and taxes I covered, $6,400. Screenshots of every time you asked for help. I helped. You call it love, I call it invoices. Dad stood abruptly. You're making this ugly. I stood too. No, I'm making it accurate. Lily jabbed a manicured finger at me. You're punishing me because Dad chose me for the deed. You've always resented me. This is revenge. This isn't revenge, I said. My voice was low, unwavering. This is closure. The word thudded into the room. You're adults. Make your choices. But you don't get my silence anymore. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your bank. I'm not your free superintendent. Travis opened his mouth. There are liability issues. I raised a hand. If you want me out, follow the law. If you want to talk, talk in writing. No more hallway decisions. No more last-minute calls. Email me. Dad's voice snapped. You ungrateful. After all, I know, I said quietly. After all I've done too. He froze like someone had hit a switch. Mom whispered, Monica, please. My throat tightened. I love you, but I'm done carrying it. Lily tried a softer tactic. We can do a fair rent. Market's $2,000 a month. You can stay for $1,600. I pay $600 now, I said. Plus the cabinets, the outlets, half the roof. If you want market rate, pay me for my labor. Travis scoffed. We'll hire a contractor. Great, I said. Tell him about the corroded galvanized line in the wall behind the laundry room. It'll burst in 2 months. Flood the alley. City will fine you. Also, the upstairs bathroom fan vents into the attic. Mold. Hope your wedding content doesn't start with a remediation crew. Lily's mouth opened and closed like a stunned fish. Dad rubbed his forehead. When will you be out? On my timeline, I said. Not yours. And when I'm gone, we're square. No more transfers. No more, can you float us? I won't be in the group chat if it's about money. Dad glared. Who do you think you are? I felt something in me settle, like a beam finally locking into place. A tenant with a lease, I said, and your daughter. The room tilted under the weight of it. For once, I wasn't shaky. I was steel. I'm not fighting you, I said. I'm informing you. Email me. I picked up my folder, left the lemon bars, walked downstairs, closed my door. For the first time in my life, the silence felt like mine. I didn't rush. That was the first real change. For once, I moved at my own pace, not theirs. Over the next few weeks, I boxed things slowly, intentionally. I sold furniture I didn't want, donated clothes I'd been guilted into storing, and threw out the emotional debris of a decade spent being everyone's problem solver. Every time I taped a box shut, it felt like sealing a wound. Dad knocked the next morning after the meeting, entering without waiting, like always. We'll help you pack, he said. I didn't look up. Don't touch my things. He blinked, stunned. I had never said that sentence in my life. He stood there for a moment, at a loss, then backed out of the room. The door clicked shut behind him, a small, clean sound. The kind you hear when something ends. Ethan offered to help me move. He even offered his guest room for as long as you want, but I told him no. I appreciated it, more than he knew, but I needed a space that was mine, untouched by anyone's expectations. So I found a tiny studio above a barber shop. Old brick, crooked windows. The oven clicks before it heats. My neighbor plays soft jazz every Sunday. The window faces another building, so the light is always soft. It felt like a place that didn't ask anything of me. Perfect. On July 30th, I rolled out my last box. I stood in the hallway I painted myself, watching the afternoon sun create a gold triangle on the floor. I took one final picture, not for nostalgia, but to remind myself that I built this space. Me, not them. Lily came out onto the porch with a clipboard in hand, the new landlord pose she'd been practicing. You're really leaving? She asked, like the idea had only just landed. Yes, I said simply. She frowned. I thought you'd fight to stay. I did fight, I said, just not in the way you wanted. She didn't understand. She rarely did. She stepped back inside, and I walked away with my keys in my pocket and dust on my hoodie. The studio became home faster than I expected. I bought a small desk, a cheap lamp, and a plant I named Monica as a joke. It's somehow still alive. Some days I wonder if that's symbolism. My new routine built itself quietly. Bakery coffee at 7:15. Hospital shift. Walk home. Some nights I read. Some nights I fix nothing. Fixing nothing felt like rebellion. Calls from my family dropped from 27 missed calls to 4, then 2. Now 1 every few days. From Mom. Pictures of a casserole she made. A blurry photo of the cat. I answer those. Only those. Group chat messages about bills go unread. Money feels different now. Like freedom instead of obligation. I send $50 weekly into a savings account labeled Not an Emergency. It's small, but it's mine. And I'm building something, even if it's just a quiet life that belongs to me. Lily texted me once, a photo of the upstairs, repainted, captioned, "We fixed the fan." Travis added, "We're pivoting to long-form content now." I replied, "Good luck." He sent a thumbs up. It cost me nothing. Dad still hasn't apologized. Not in the way that counts. He emailed once. We did what we thought was best for the family. I replied, I know, I did too. He never wrote back. Closure isn't always a slamming door. Sometimes it's just recognizing which ones you don't walk through anymore. The biggest shift was internal. I stopped being the floor everyone stood on. Stopped being the wall that held the house up. Stopped being the wrench, the glue, the daughter-shaped safety net. I became a person with boundaries. Now when a bill comes in, financial or emotional, I ask myself, is this mine? If yes, I pay it. If not, I don't. My name is Monica Mosier. I'm 31 years old. I hold the lines that belong to me. And I'm finally done holding the ones that never did.